All right, guys, welcome back to another video. If it's your first time here, you like what you see, hit that subscribe. If you've been a returning watcher, which I see a lot of my viewers are actually returning watchers but aren't subscribed, you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's start off here. Let's talk about Helldivers 2. So we talked about Helldivers 2 yesterday because it was doing extremely well in sales on Steam. It was ahead of Palworld. And one of the things that I did not really realize until today, after the game actually released, was that there were no review codes sent out for this game. Nobody had early reviews of Helldivers 2, and the game just released, and now we are seeing issues with the game. Now, I'll be honest, looking at this game, it looks like it is a ton of fun. It looks like it would be a great game to play, but they've launched it. There are multiple issues, and people are talking about these on Steam in the reviews, where the game is currently, as recording this video, sitting at a mixed review with 52% positive and 48% negative. And some of the major reasons why people are complaining, it's not just about crashes, it's not just about DRM, the anti-cheat DRM that is in there that is causing their games to crash, which is a major part that people are complaining about. But I would say, worst part about the things that people are complaining about is a pay-to-win system. Now, this is a PvE game, not PvP, but people still do not like that type of microtransactions within a video game. So here are some of the reviews that we are seeing. This person says, I'm playing on a 7900 XTX and I'm getting crashes to desktop when I try to play a mission. I'm sure this game would be fun to play, but I'm currently unable to actually proceed with a mission without getting freezes. They say for now, it's currently causing issues launching the game, as every time I'm forced out of the game, I'm hit with a message that Game Guard isn't present or active, keeping me from playing the game. I was very much excited about the idea of playing this game. I adored the original. Sadly, after consistent crashes to desktop and even a few blue screens of death thrown in for good measure, the only thing I can recommend is stay away until you hear about patches fixing these issues. Now, this person here says they talk about the war bonds, which is their, I guess, battle pass thing that you get here and that you pay for within the game itself. And this person says the second war bond is not free. It costs $10 to unlock. You then spend the same credits from completing missions on unlocking cosmetics and weapons in the battle pass. If this war bond just had cosmetic microtransactions, I would be fine with this. But putting items that give other players an advantage behind a paywall is incredibly greedy and short-sighted. It would be one thing if this was 2010, but it's 2024. Players' outrage at this is well known. When a company puts making money ahead of their players' happiness in this way, it's not a company whose games I can recommend to other people. Now, Alex Bull, the lead producer, has actually gone and started responding to some of these reviews on Steam, which interestingly enough, we saw Starfield get a ton of heat for that when they were responding to Starfield reviews, but I guess it doesn't really matter here with Helldivers 2. This is one of his responses. Sorry that you're having trouble. We're doing our best to try and resolve the issues that people are having. To increase the visibility of your issue, please submit a ticket at our support page and attach any crash logs you have. You can find the support page through the Arrowhead page. I hope we can win you back once we had some time to address the issues. So there's a bunch of issues here with Helldivers 2 that have shown up after the game is actually launched and people have already purchased the game. Now, there's a few things here that I find just absolutely weird, that nobody was talking about this, and nobody is really talking too much about this game from Helldivers 2. We know Helldivers 2 is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive. It's also out on PC. But we just literally saw the absolute destruction by the media for Suicide Squad. Now, I haven't played Suicide Squad yet. I will say the gameplay looks a ton of fun, but I can't give my judgment and say whether the game is worthy of the reviews it has received or whether it's been unfairly graded. But I will say we saw a huge thing before this game, or before Suicide Squad released, about no review codes, no early review codes, so that the companies like IGN would be able to put their games out onto their reviews out onto their websites. We haven't heard anything here about Helldivers 2, and essentially I would say this is the same situation. In fact, this is probably a worse situation because of the things that people are complaining about: crashes And I would say the worst thing, your pay to win mechanics within the game. I know it is not a PvP game. I see some people trying to justify that this is okay because it is not PvP, but all this means is that Arrowhead, the studio behind this, was funded by PlayStation to create this game. The PlayStation paid to have this game console exclusive and everything. They locked parts of the game that should be included in the actual purchase price behind a paywall so that they can make more money off of you. So I just thought that was pretty funny, pretty interesting to think about how we have two games, one right after the other, with literally the same situation with the early review codes, but for some reason, there is no issues here with Helldivers 2. Now, I do hope they fix these things because I was actually pretty interested in this game as I was a fan of the first game. I played the first game on my PlayStation 3 and on my PlayStation Vita, and I thought this one, and I still think this one does look great. But hopefully they can work out these issues, and I'm hoping they do take away some of those pay-to-win features. All right, and just an update from the debunked rumor yesterday. It's still debunked, absolutely still debunked, but a lot of people were spreading around misinformation about the Microsoft Game Pass, and that was going to be the new name. They were rebranding Xbox Game Pass because of literally a typo on a GameStop ad from a company that, I mean, does not have the highest amount of confidence in terms of getting things correct, right? So GameStop here, they put out this ad again, and you can see for all of those who are still doubting that it is not Microsoft Game Pass that they're going to be going with in the future, they changed the typo. They put out the correct ad here, and now it says join us 210 for Xbox Demo Day. It says come play new Xbox games on the Xbox Series X and S, plus explore the benefits of Xbox Game Pass. So clearly it was just a mistake from GameStop's part, and it wasn't anything that was pushed down to them from Microsoft, from Xbox, based off of what people are thinking is going to be announced next week and stuff when Xbox does come out and talk. Let's talk about Microsoft and Xbox against the FTC, because believe it or not, this is popping up again. We know the deal closed in October. The FTC filed a complaint because of the layoffs from Microsoft, the 1,900 employees that were laid off. And now Microsoft has actually replied to the FTC about this complaint. So this is what Microsoft says here. They say, consistent with broader trends in the gaming industry, Activision was already planning on eliminating a significant number of jobs while still operating as an independent company. The recent announcement thus cannot be attributed fully to the merger. And then they also go on here to say in a separate statement to VGC that in continuing its opposition to the deal, the FTC ignores the reality that the deal itself has substantially changed. Since the FTC lost in court last July, Microsoft has required by the UK Competition Authority to restructure the acquisition globally and therefore did not acquire the cloud streaming rights to Activision Blizzard games in the United States. Additionally, Sony and Microsoft signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation on even better terms than Sony had before. So two things here. They are basically saying that even if this deal didn't happen, Activision would be making a bunch of layoffs and cuts. Now, would it be 1,900? Probably not 1,900, because there's definitely, I think, a lot of redundancy roles that were laid off. That just happens essentially with any merger, that you're not going to have two people doing the same thing. You're not going to have multiple departments of people doing the same thing. It just makes zero sense for business. And I understand it's very hard for people that lost their job, but that's just kind of the reality of what happens with stuff like this. And then they also mention this part, that the FTC, they're saying the FTC is still not looking at the huge changes Xbox, Microsoft made from this deal. Like, they literally gave streaming rights to Ubisoft to give out these ABK games to anybody who wants it, and it's out of Microsoft's hands. And they also made sure that Call of Duty was on every platform, and all of the stuff is now coming to a head here. We know there's all those rumors going around about what Xbox is going to be doing with the future of their games, but a lot of this is all happening because of this ABK deal. Whether you were for it or against this deal going through, this is now the result of this deal closing and everything starting to get worked out. I think there will be a bright side of this at the end. I think once they get through all of this and they complete the kind of the transfer from ABK to Xbox in terms of how the organization runs and how the studios are running and stuff like that, there will be a very bright future for the Xbox platform going forward. And obviously there's still everybody waiting for Xbox to talk about what they're going to be doing with their games and everything that about the multi-platform stuff, if that's going to be happening next week. I have a theory that I said on my stream last or Tuesday, I believe, that I believe, and I will maybe potentially be completely wrong about all of this, but I think a lot of this multi-platform talk that we are hearing about, I think most of it's going to have to do with Bethesda and ABK games and them having to put more of those games onto PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch, whereas their other first-party studios that we really know Xbox for, with like the Halos and Gears. I know there's some rumors about Gears. I don't actually see those going over, but that's just the way I think about this. And obviously Phil Spencer and Xbox will clear all of that up next week whenever they do decide to speak. All right, jumping over here, let's talk Ubisoft, because we got a ton of information here from their quarterly report here where they tell us about their sales and everything. And now we have information about two major games that are going to be coming out in fiscal year 2025, meaning between April 2024 and March 2025. Now, specifically, the two games are Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Codename Red. Both look just phenomenal. I can't wait to play both of these games, as I am a big fan of Ubisoft's open world games. I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed. I've played pretty much all of them, and I've liked what they've done with their last three open world ones, as well as I like what they did with Assassin's Creed Mirage. And then you have Star Wars Outlaws, which was shown off at the Xbox showcase, which I think looks phenomenal. Comes from Massive, which I enjoyed Division, I've enjoyed Avatar. So just a lot of games here that I'm excited for to be coming out in the next year or so. Specifically though, for Star Wars Outlaws, they are saying it is coming out in 2024. So this is a game you can expect to release sometime after April 2024, before the end of the year. I'm guessing this is going to be a fall release, and it's going to be coming out during the holiday season when some of the biggest games do come out during the year. And then you're going to have Assassin's Creed Codename Red, which I think is going to be coming out in 2025. We don't know, but just from April 2024 to March 2025, there's going to be some major Ubisoft games coming out that I can't wait to jump into. Then we have this, which is Skull and Bones, which I think Ubisoft at this point is now just sending out to die. Like, I feel like they've had this game in development for so long, they've pushed through, and for some reason, it seems like they're just sending it out there to be DOA, the way that they're pricing the game, the way that they're talking about the game. And a lot of people have a negative outlook already on Skull and Bones, and that's why I think it's going to be almost DOA when it does release. But they were asked about the $70 price tag for Skull and Bones, and Yves Guillemot, he justifies this by saying this: "You will see that Skull and Bones is a fully fledged game. It's a very big game when we feel that people will really see how vast and complete that game is. It's a really full triple, quadruple A game that will deliver in the long run." So basically he's saying that it's worth $70 because of the scale of the game and that it's a quadruple A game. But the problem here is, from I think the consumer's perspective, is that this game is almost kind of a joke at this point because of how many times it has been delayed. There could be a great game in Skull and Bones. I've played the beta. It is decently fun. It's not a bad game from what I've played, and I'm sure at the full release of it is going to be even significantly better. But a lot of people look at this as a live service game. They don't want to spend $70. They look at it as the game that has been in development forever, and that they're surprised that it is still actually coming out. So I feel like the much better move for Skull and Bones would have been just releasing this at like a $40 price tag or something, trying to get a ton of sales of it so people actually give it a chance and play it. And then from there, the community of it grows. They would make more money with microtransactions and things like that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here with Skull and Bones. Maybe it just takes off like nobody ever thought, but I feel like they're just kind of sending this out to die, which is a weird move, because recently Ubisoft has been making a lot of great moves, especially with their last recent releases. When you think about going back to a smaller Assassin's Creed, which a lot of people asked for, and giving more breathing room before the open world Assassin's Creeds come out, and then also releasing a game like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which in my opinion, should be, at least right now, unless there's a bunch of other games that are going to kick it out, it should be in Game of the Year conversation because it is a phenomenal game. I would love Ubisoft to go back and take some time and make more of those smaller games, not having to go with the biggest graphics and the biggest open world. Because, I mean, I'm telling you, the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, if you haven't played it, you like side-scrolling, Castlevania, Metroidvania, platformers, I absolutely would check it out. I think it will be going down for me as one of my favorite games to be released in 2024. The other thing Ubisoft has invested in recently has been VR with Assassin's Creed Nexus VR. And it looks like that's essentially all they're going to be investing in, as they state here that they were disappointed with the actual sales of the game itself, and they will not be investing too heavily in VR from now on. So Assassin's Creed Nexus did not do what they wanted it to do, which was probably push Ubisoft into the VR market and get people to think about the games that they put out and be able to capture that part of the industry. But clearly that isn't the case. So we'll see. I mean, this is, I think, going to be a good year for Ubisoft overall with the games that they do release with Assassin's Creed and with the Star Wars Outlaws game, which again, I can't wait to jump into. All right, jumping over here, let's talk about Atlas, and let's talk about Persona 3 Reload. They say Persona 3 Reload has sold 1 million copies worldwide within its first week, becoming the fastest selling game in Atlas history. A huge thanks to our community for your incredible support. We look forward to breaking more records with you. This is big. This is big because it is taking Persona and expanding it out to a much larger audience. This is a game that definitely had a niche audience, especially when Persona 3 came out. It was very niche, but now we have it here, coming to Xbox Game Pass Day 1 and releasing on the Xbox console, two places that it would have never released on years ago, and now hitting 1 million copies worldwide, meaning that tons more people know about Persona, tons more people are playing Persona. I think there's some info we can take away here based off of some of the narratives going around about what Xbox is planning to do next week when we hear their strategy and how this could affect third-party support for the Xbox console. You have to take a look at Xbox right now. The Xbox Series X and S, they're tracking slightly behind the Xbox One in terms of sale, yet they have more third-party support with games like Persona jumping into the service day and date, coming onto Xbox Day 1, selling very well on Xbox. We saw a couple of days ago where there was actually a #1 seller on Amazon, even though it wasn't Xbox Game Pass Day 1. So there's a lot of positives here from Xbox's side of things when they see a game like this selling well. And from Atlas and Sega, they're probably looking at this and saying one of the main reasons that we have gotten to this point this fast is because we put this game out in more places, which is obviously the strategy going forward for a lot of these companies. Xbox, PlayStation, they're wanting to put their games everywhere. But what this is saying is I don't believe this whole narrative of if Xbox puts their games on PlayStation, that third-party support is going to dwindle for Xbox. I just don't think that is going to happen. And as more things like this happen, it's more proof that these third-party publishers are going to want to be on Xbox going forward if they're able to reach more people. It's not about the box. It's about the access points to the Xbox ecosystem, to Game Pass, and to people having that ability to jump in and play. So we will see what happens here. We will see how Game Pass has affected this. Maybe somebody went out, tried Persona for the first time and then bought it, or if they started going out and purchasing other Persona games because they did try it. All of these things come into effect when you see a game take off and do as well as it has, like this, which is the fastest selling game in Atlas history. But I will leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.